Hi, welcome to the zoo, and we're your hosts, Caitlin.
And Josh Zanika.
Okay, second episode. Here we are. Thank you so much for listening and for all the support that we've received so far. Yeah, we're just excited for the journey.
Yep.
How are you feeling, Josh?
I'm good. I'm tired. It's been a long day, but
yeah, let's talk about what happened last night.
Oh, okay. So fun parenting moments. For me, yesterday I spent pretty much the whole day servicing homes, spraying for bugs because our new office has been selling so well that we're a little bit backed up. And so I hopped in there to kind of like relieve some pressure on that. And then while that was happening, my son got sick, like super sick. And you were just kind of holding it down like a champ the whole day.
Yeah, it was weird. I had like my mother's intuition in the morning and I was like, Noah is acting so whiny and kind of weird because he wouldn't really eat anything, and then he ended up falling back asleep. And then I noticed there was like snot all over his pillow and I was like, oh great, I think he's sick. So anyway, we spent the day on the couch from like 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. You got home pretty much at 10 p.m. And then you brought me home a Slurpee, which was great. Coke mixed with cherry. That's like my staple. I used to get that in high school, and like I would get the sour punch straws. Did you ever get those?
Mm-mm.
So you know the sour punch bites that I like? They used to make those in a straw form, and then you would put that into the drink. Isn't that weird?
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, so that was a pregnancy craving. And yeah, we were just up with Noah all night, basically. He woke up like every 2 hours.
Yeah, we don't normally let him sleep in our bed.
We never have co-slept really at all.
Never. But he did
his own bed. Like
he did last night for most of it. And then like at 3 a.m. he just kept waking up and like wanting us to hold him or to scratch his back or to read him a book, or he wanted to watch Bluey or whatever.
Well, I don't even know really what it was. It kind of seemed like a 24-hour stomach flu because he kept saying his tummy hurts, but then he never threw up. So yeah, I don't really know. But
so anyways, at 3 a.m. we move him to his bed because he wants to go to his own bed. And then he wakes up like around 6:30-ish, comes back into our bed. I change his diaper. He jumps back into bed. And then we are like half asleep between then and then like 8:30.
I was talking to one of my friends and she was saying that is the hardest part about parenting for her.
Sleep deprivation.
Yep.
I've never known being tired until I was a parent. Like literally, I used to think that I was tired, and I remember feeling super tired as a missionary. But dude, no, like there's no such thing as sleep deprivation until you have a child.
Yep. Yeah, because I feel like newborn phase, you're a zombie. But then it kind of never ends in a way because you just don't know how your kid's going to end up sleeping. I would say for the most part, though, Noah's been a pretty good sleeper.
Yeah.
Like we've gotten him to sleep through the night at a pretty young age, but things just come up, you know? So anyway.
Parents know what we're talking about.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, we are on some caffeine.
Which is daily. I'm like addicted to caffeine from my sales career.
Yeah. But I've been trying to like rein you back on that because it's just really not good for you. So
yep.
But yeah, so I was gonna tell everyone, for anyone that doesn't know, which I'm sure everyone already knows, we are expecting baby number 2. So it's exciting.
Super exciting.
Yep.
It's a girl.
Yeah. Which I am so shocked by. I remember when we did the gender reveal for Noah, and I wanted to have a girl so bad. And honestly, I had gender disappointment for sure when we popped open the...
I didn't. I was pumped.
Yeah, Josh was like over the moon. I was giving him an air. He was super stoked. Carrying on the Zanika name. But anyway, can't imagine our lives without Noah, our little 2-year-old crazy boy. But super grateful that we're going to have a girl. So, and we were able to find out, because people have asked me that. They're like, how are you able to find out so early? Because I'm 12 weeks. And we found out, I think it was 8.5 weeks or 9, maybe.
Yeah, it's like the sneak peek blood test
Yeah.
where you send in like a sample and they are checking for DNA. They're checking for male DNA and they didn't find any. So
And we
they
did
know
the
it's a
same thing
girl.
with Noah, but it was a little bit different. Like a nurse actually came
Hmm.
to our house and took my blood. But
Caitlin was probably okay with waiting a little bit longer. I'm the impatient one.
well, dude, can you imagine though the couples, like I see this all the time, that wait until the hospital,
Nah,
like
I don't
having
want
the
to do.
baby?
I definitely don't want to do that.
I'm like, dude, we have the technology for it. Why wait? Like, why do you want to be that surprised? I don't know. I don't really see the fun in that. But
Mm-mm.
for me, it's more like I want to know so I can plan with clothes and like, girly things.
For me, I don't really think I care that much about like the clothes and the girly things or the, like how we're going to dress them. For me, I just like knowing what our life is going to look like how it's going to affect our life, like
Yeah.
just something fun to look forward to.
Yep. I'm just excited to not have to worry about like if we're ever going to have a girl or if we're ever going to have a boy, because now we're going to have both. So
Yeah.
hopefully that test was accurate, but it was 99.9% accurate with Noah. So yeah.
How did we, and this is a question, I already know the answer to it, but how did we decide to have a second one? Like, what was the process that went into that?
I mean, I think we always knew we wanted to have a second baby. Because we had talked about, how many kids we wanted before we got married. And I think people ask me this, like, how many kids do you guys actually want now? And I just always tell people, now that I'm married and I've actually gone through childbirth and everything, I'm like, I just have to tell myself that I'm just going to take it one kid at a time, because I have a number that I'm kind of feeling, and that you do too, but I also just like want to see how things go.
And they're not necessarily the same number.
I'm the one who's going through all of the labor and postpartum and birth and pregnancy. So I do think I kind of have the final say. But
yeah, you definitely do.
But I always want to be on the same page. So like I said, we're going to be, talking about it every single time.
I think people might be surprised to hear whose number is which, though.
So you're wanting me to offer up my info?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have always wanted 4, honestly, because I came from 4 in my family, and I just was a good number. I liked it. But like I said, now that I've actually gone through everything, and my first birth and pregnancy was really hard and kind of traumatic. So I think I've changed my mind. At this point, I want 3, but there's a chance that I could push for 4. We'll see. So, and you want 4, right?
No, I originally wanted 5.
But I never said we're going to have 5. I don't remember ever saying that.
I just this might be surprised at people who do know me. I definitely want lots of babies, but Caitlin's correct.
Why is that, Josh? Why do you want so many babies?
Actually, I think I can speak to this. Why? Because when I was really young, I was like the only child for like the first 5 or 6. I can't remember.
I think 5 years, right?
Yeah, 5 years of my life. But my parents lived in the basement of my grandparents' house, and a lot of my aunts and uncles lived at home still. And so for the first 5 years, like I grew up with core memories of having them around me. And then when we moved, it kind of went away. And so I really enjoyed kind of that bigger dynamic.
Being around a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you have 3 siblings, 2 sisters, just so people know.
Yeah.
Which that makes sense. I think we'll know what's right in the end. But I will say, first and foremost, we're super blessed and we're able so far to get pregnant pretty easily. Yeah. And I know a lot of people that's not the case. And so I just want to be sensitive to that, just because we've been able to plan. I mean, first time we didn't really plan, but we weren't super careful either, And I remember on our honeymoon, I literally said to you, I'm pretty sure you just got me pregnant. And you were like, no.
Well, because I was thinking, dude, it just doesn't happen. It often doesn't happen that way. But But I remember growing up, my mom would always say, our side is really fertile, so be careful. Like she was always like, caution tape. So that's the reason why I was like, well, that was the first time I've ever, been scared. Like I really could get pregnant. And then it was just funny that it ended up being for sure pregnant. But so anyway, we knew that we got pregnant super quickly without even planning it. And so I was thinking this next time it'll be the same. And it kind of was. It didn't take too long. It was like took us a couple months,
4 months, 3 months. I don't know, something like that.
I felt like it was taking forever, but I'm extremely impatient.
Yeah. So I think because Noah will be 3 in July,
Hmm.
I think we were just at a good point. I felt like me mentally, I was in a better spot. We were back in Utah, which we just recently moved from Washington State to Utah in October.
Yeah.
And so I just felt like I had, good support. But I don't know. I just felt like I was in a better spot to kind of take that next step and just felt like the right time. So that's for me. I don't know. I mean, I feel like you would have probably gotten pregnant earlier,
Probably.
but I think you were,
But I was supportive of your decision.
yeah, you were supportive.
Like I was totally fine. Like I was impatient a little bit, but like I was pushing. I think I pressed the envelope a little bit, but
Yeah.
I was good with it.
So looking back, like, how was that experience for you? Like me getting pregnant right away?
You mean the first time or the second time?
No, the first time.
I was surprised, but I was super happy.
Like you never felt like you weren't sad that we didn't get that like newlywed phase.
No, I didn't think about it. I didn't, that didn't even pop into my head, honestly. I didn't really care.
And did you ever think like, wow, my wife is a lot crazier than I thought? Or was it like, oh, I give her some praise?
That's a daily occurrence.
Excuse me?
Thinking my wife is crazier than I thought.
Well, dude, okay, this is actually kind of funny. So Josh had said in the first episode how he had seen the story, like my little highlight bubble or whatever that was She Cray.
Is it still there, by the way?
Yeah, if anyone wants to look it up, feel free to knock yourself out.
That's what had me fall head over heels.
No, I'm just kidding. But the reason why I bring that up though is because for some reason the song Sweet But Psycho ended up becoming like my theme song.
From me.
Yeah, from you to me. But I do think like people who really know me would say I'm pretty crazy. Like,
yeah, people that know you would tend to agree.
Yeah.
In all of like the positive ways, like not like negative ways.
Yeah, no.
I've dated psycho girls before, and you're not that kind of psycho.
So what? Give me the levels of like psychoticness. I don't even know if that's a word now.
I don't know. I've only experienced like 2 different types. One of them was good, and one of them was not good.
So give me the levels.
I mean, I don't know. Like psycho, like you are the kind of crazy that you'll probably take on a little bit more than you should, but you're gonna have fun with it, and our life's just kind of nuts. But I also have to be very careful with how I say things sometimes, because I'm not like, I think that sales has kind of deadened me a little bit, sensitivity wise, and maybe that's just a guy thing, but I struggle with that sometimes. But then the other side would, like, if I say something wrong, she will like hold it over my head for days. And honestly, I'm just like spiteful. You're not spiteful at all.
Yeah.
But actually, I do have some crazy girl stories that I can share later.
I was gonna say though, like, do you want to talk about that at all? Like touch on the other psycho girl of your life, or no?
Oh man, like
because we didn't talk about it in the first episode, but if you don't want to talk about it now, it's all good.
I want to, because I think that some of it's funny, but I don't want people to feel like I'm bullying, you know, or like, yeah. Let me I'll give you guys a snippet. So this girl that I was dating at the time.
This is kind of a tangent, but I also think it's kind of funny.
Okay, so this is a shout out to everybody that has had an engagement that fell through because you realized that somebody was different than what they really were immediately after you were engaged. Okay, so happened during the summer romance, right? I've never had a good experience with any of those. They all ended not well, like when they began and like began during the summer. So anyways, we also met on a dating app on Mutual. She was a flight attendant, and she was super cool. We dated for a couple months, got engaged. And I was honestly at a point in my life where I probably was like settling on some things because I just wasn't like, maybe this is TMI, I just wasn't super happy with like who I was as a person yet. I was looking for happiness in a relationship. Yeah. So I was like looking like for a hole in me to be filled. Yeah. And so I probably like lowered my standards or lowered the bar on a couple of different things.
Well, and I think a lot of people can relate to that too, where maybe you just wanted to get married and you're like, yeah, this person's pretty good. You know, like
this person expresses a lot of interest in me. So
we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, so we start dating, and this is a side of me that a lot of people know about, but also a lot of people don't know about, is that I'm pretty stubborn. And when somebody tells me that I can't do something or I need to do
You
something and I
stubborn?
don't,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
So I
So when they tell you can't, it means you're gonna go farther, and you will.
it means
And you
that
will.
it means in the back of my head, I'm probably like sticking my middle finger up at them
Yeah.
and being like, well, you better watch me.
But I actually think we both have that in common.
Yeah, we do, which is not always a good thing.
Yep.
Most of the time it's a good thing, but sometimes it's not a good thing.
Yep.
So anyways, this girl, she would just kind of gaslight me into like turning little things into much bigger things. For example, we got engaged at the Polynesian Cultural Center. My whole family was there. And then like the next day, we were driving out to a car. We were going to the Dole Plantation.
That place is cool, though.
Yeah, it is cool. And
I love me a good Dole Whip.
dude, Dole Whip's bomb.
Yeah.
So anyways, my dad asked me to do something, like look something up on my phone. And I guess I didn't do it quick enough. Like because I was doing something at the moment. And she like snapped.
You were probably a little bit distracted.
I was probably distracted, which go figure. I'm me. I have ADD bad. But I didn't do it as quick. And she like snapped at me, and I can't remember exactly what she said, but it was rude.
It was awkward in front of your family.
Yeah, it was super awkward.
Yeah.
It was super awkward. And like I could tell that my sisters were uncomfortable, and like my dad was a little surprised.
And you were already engaged at this point.
Yeah, we were already engaged. Yeah. We got engaged the day before.
Yeah.
So when we get to the Dole Plantation, and it wasn't like a one thing. She was like a little grouchy for some reason. When we got to the Dole Plantation, I just like pulled her aside and was like, hey, you know, if there's something that I did that you don't like, that's okay. And we could talk about it, but just don't like
do that in front of my family. Yeah,
just don't do that in front of my family.
Yeah.
She then, and guys, I'm not exaggerating. That's literally how I said it. I'm in sales, and I already kind of knew that she was a little sensitive. So I tried to say it that way so it would kind of soften or not come across abrasive. Because, dude, I was wanting peace. I wasn't trying to annoy anybody. Yeah. But anyways, she gets pissed, like real pissed, starts crying in the middle of the Dole Plantation.
Don't talk to me like that in front of my family?
Yeah, that's literally what set it off. And we started this argument back and forth about that. And then I don't remember like a ton of the details beyond that for the rest of the day. Maybe I just kind of blacked it out. I don't know. But I remember afterwards, she put the wedding band on the table. And meanwhile, guys, like we're sharing an apartment, like a hotel room with my parents.
Yeah, it's
like
my siblings. Where it has a door in between it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like a shared common area.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
So anyways, she leaves it there, and then she goes and locks herself in the bathroom for like 4 hours. And my whole family comes in and sees the ring on the table.
She had been engaged before, right?
Yeah, she'd been engaged 3 times before.
So when I think about that, if that was her 4th engagement, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking she's probably done this before. Like given back the ring and maybe wanted to see what the guy would do, or
I don't know.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
But I like the point is I don't play those kind of games. Like,
you were super set on it. You were like, I just went through this really cool proposal, right? I mean,
I went through this really cool proposal.
Yeah.
My whole family comes in and sees her set the ring on the table, and then like go into the bathroom. My sisters are like looking at me out of the side of their eye, like, what is going on? So I eventually get her to let me into the bathroom, and we talk about it. We make amends.
Yeah.
Then she all of a sudden has to leave early because she's a flight attendant, and she was on call. So she had to leave. So she left the next day after we argued.
And she she never put the ring back on?
No, she did.
Oh, okay.
No, she did.
Okay.
But after we got back from that trip, we're engaged at this point. I got her kind of a nice ring. I wasn't loaded at the time, so it was like a 2-carat moissanite ring. So was not diamond. She told me that she wanted to get the ring changed because she wasn't getting enough compliments on the ring because people thought it was fake. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, it is fake.
but she knew that all along that it was going to be the moissanite.
Yeah, she knew all along. And it was a really pretty ring. So we went and bring it back to the jeweler's, get it resized. And during that time process, she tells me that she wants me to repropose because that's the craziest
part to me is that because that sounded like an incredible proposal.
It was super nice.
I was also thinking maybe it was just a bad memory for her, and so she was like, "Oh, I just want to redo this." But that's a big ask.
So she was a missionary at the visitor center at the Sacred Grove, and so she wanted me to fly with her to the Sacred Grove to repropose at the Sacred Grove. That was the specific ask.
That's crazy.
And so after, like, in the ring was in the
But
shop.
did she want a new ring?
Well, she wanted it changed.
So
she got the rock.
it?
She got the rock smaller. We did.
Oh,
But during this time process,
you were tripping.
I'm connecting dots.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? No, I'm not going to repropose to you. I'm not going to repropose to you because that was heartfelt. I meant what I said. And I'm not super apologetic for asking you not to critique me in front of my family. I'm not going to apologize about that. And I'm not going to let you think that, or let you convince me that I was mean, because I wasn't mean in how I said it.
So when you said that to her, was she still pissed? Like,
she was still pissed. At that point, we decided that we were going to like
dwindling, right?
Yeah, it was dwindling. It dwindled. It was like a really fast, it burned like a bright flame. It happened real fast and it went out real quick. And so she actually, at this point, I kind of had red flags going off, and she was like, you know what? I just don't want, she kind of called it off first. And then she, meanwhile, this is something that I'm honestly embarrassed about. She created this Instagram page called Mr. and Mrs. Beautiful. My wife is laughing right now because she knows that's so unlike me that I would be super weird.
Well, honestly, I'm sorry, like, no shade to anyone who ever did this, but like, I always just thought it was really weird and confusing, like, why you couldn't just have two separate Instagram accounts or two Facebook accounts. Like, why?
I never once logged into that account or interacted with it.
Why does everybody have to be joint? Like, let's just be our own person. But that's just me.
Where I'm going at with that, Mr. and Mrs. Beautiful, she would have like on the Instagram bio the date that we met, the date that we got engaged. But did she want you to delete your
Instagram and like you guys have a joint thing, or that was just a page for fun?
I don't know.
Okay,
it never got to that point.
Okay,
but she put like the date that we broke up. And then she was like,
that's the worst.
She put the date that we broke up, and then she like put back together again, TBD. And I'm like thinking to myself, I had this conversation with her. I was like, why? This isn't a soap opera. This is our life. And we don't need to put all that out there. Like, if we're like, I'm still like trying to fight for this thing. And I'm like, shit, I'm comfortable.
How embarrassing is that, though? Like, getting back together, TBD. It's like, do you think you're actually going to get back together if you put that on Instagram?
At that point, I was like, no, I'm not.
Okay, so that's so crazy.
She made me feel bad about not wanting that out there. It's like, let's have a little bit of privacy while we're working through stuff.
Well, yeah,
it's like, because now everybody, if we do get married, everybody's going to know. Everybody's going to know. They're going to want to talk about it. People are going to gossip.
Oh my gosh.
And not that I really care about anybody else's opinions, but it's none of their business.
Well, yeah, it's just not. So
anyways, all this is happening. And like the Mr. and Mrs. Beautiful thing happened before I think it happened a little bit before I proposed. I thought it was lame, but I wasn't like,
dude, we need to come up with our own.
I got weirded out.
Like once. Our own Mr. and Mrs. Beautiful tour.
Mm-hmm. I got weirded out once she started changing the bio and like voicing that we got broken up and that we might get back together. But I remember like when she was like, yeah, I just want to kind of hold off right now. I remember I was super sad. I went fishing with my brother-in-law, Tom, and my sister, Anna, in Oklahoma. I was supposed to be knocking, went fishing, caught a couple of largemouth bass. I love fishing. Brought me a lot of peace and happiness.
Yeah.
But then there's some other weird things. Trying to remember. Oh, okay. She also, while we're in this breakup period, she wanted me to move in with her parents while she was allowed to date other people. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that.
I'm confused by that. That does not make any sense.
What put the nail in the coffin is that I refused to live with her parents.
So she wanted you to live with your parent or her parents, sorry, to save money, or what was it?
I don't know. I don't know what it was. I think maybe that was what it was at the time.
But she wanted to date other people while you were living with her parents.
She said that she wanted to kind of like start over, like go back a couple of steps. It's like, well, if we're going back a couple steps,
why would I'm going to sign
I'm going to sign my own lease. And so I go sign my own lease somewhere. She's mad.
Maybe it's because she didn't want you to get your own place.
Yeah, she didn't want me to get my own place.
Why. Okay, got it. But still, it's like,
I don't care. Like, if you want me to live with your parents, then you're not single. Like,
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like, I'm not going to be living with your mom and pop. Like, if I'm not sealing the deal with you.
Like, I'm not so unrealistic. Like, if we're gonna be together and work through this, okay, I'll move in with your parents while we work through this.
Yeah,
Although
but
her
you're not
parents were kind of
dating,
weird.
or we're, like you said,
But
we're not. Yeah.
if we're not putting a label on it, no, I'm not
Yeah.
doing that.
Dude, that's insane.
Not gonna wait for you to go on dates with other dudes while I live with your parents and wait for you to come back home from a date. It's not gonna happen at all.
And then I remember you saying at that point you were like done.
Yeah, I was like, done. I can't. I'm not at that place anymore, and I can't get back.
Well, and she wouldn't give the ring back, right?
Yeah. So I paid for the ring. Honestly, I didn't really care about it. She put me on. She was a flight attendant, so she gave me these flight benefits, and I was like, "Look, you keep the ring. Just keep me on flight benefits for the next 6 months."
You just wanted the flight bennies.
Yeah, I just wanted the flight benefits. But then,
dude,
she gets the ring and immediately kicks me off the flight benefits.
Dude, that's pretty messed up, though. Like, you saying you would let her keep the ring, the least she could have done was giving you the bennies.
I'm just curious, like, what is she going to do with it? It's like a cursed ring. You know, it's not going to...
She's just going to sell it.
It's a cursed ring.
That's a cursed ring.
The ring of a failed relationship. I really
hope that she didn't sell that to a pawn shop and you re-proposed with that.
But anyways, after that, that's kind of where I went into this kind of like, really like low spot.
Yeah.
And I felt pretty down. And then the next year, shortly after, that was when I had that 1,500. But there's a lot of crazy stuff like that. I think that she was expecting me to respond to like this emotional stuff in a way that she wanted me to, but I wouldn't do it. So
guys, moral of the story is you can be psycho, but it has to be a good level.
Yep.
Do not
bringing that back around to
do not ask your fiance to re-propose to you. Okay.
Maybe I'm weird and I just like crazy girls. I just need that like extra bit of spice in my life.
I remember you saying that though. You were like, I always thought I would marry a Latina girl because they're a little bit spicy.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you say that?
Dude, you definitely have some Latina in you somewhere.
I don't think so.
Or Italian or something.
But by the way, Josh is Hispanic. His dad's Chilean. So we got some of that in our blood, but well, in Noah's blood, I guess. But anyway, that was a tangent.
So you know, no part of that story was exaggerated, and I did not leave out anything from that.
That's Josh's side of the story.
Really
I want to hear the other side. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, the other side is that she now has an Instagram page.
Josh,
so
there, bro.
She got married and divorced. The past 2 years.
My hell.
Still putting it out there.
Wow.
Needless to say, she created an Instagram handle that would definitely signify that was married and is now single. So we're gonna bleep out the name of that because I don't want it to be too mean, but it is kind of wild.
It's it's wild because she ended up getting married and divorced at this point. So you dodged a bullet, honestly.
I did.
But anyway, that was a tangent. Just love that.
The one other thing though is that she actually is a nice girl. Like I think she's not a bad person.
No,
she's not a bad person. We weren't each other's person.
Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. Miley Cyrus, anybody? Okay. But seriously, that was a tangent.
Yeah, no hate to her. You know, like
no.
I kind of feel bad airing out all that dirty laundry, but hey, it's part of my story, so I feel like I have a right to share it.
Yeah, it's your story. It's all good.
Before we go too far, you got to reciprocate. You have some pretty crazy dating stories too.
Well, Josh is asking me now to reciprocate and share some of my dating stories. I just want to say, though, we do want to talk about crazy toddlers in this episode, but we're also going to sprinkle some dating stories in there because it's a good
funny
time. But so I had a missionary in high school. Well, not in high school, but we were dating pretty seriously all throughout high school. It was like my junior and senior year, and then I wrote him his entire mission. So it was a pretty serious relationship. I think it was like 4 years overall that we had dated. And lots of good times. I really enjoyed his family. I really thought we were going to get married. And it's funny because Josh actually had a girl too when you went on your mission that you were writing as well.
Yep. Got Dear John like a month in.
Yep. I think a lot of people in Utah had somebody that they were writing or whatnot, you know? But anyways, I wrote him his whole mission, but there were times where he kind of told me to kind of take a step back. Like he wanted to focus on his mission, and he ended up, you know, becoming the AP and all the things.
No one cares.
Yeah, but at the time you're thinking, okay, like he must be such a good missionary. He's the assistant to the president, you know. But that's not always the case. I mean, who knows? I just think you just never really know sometimes what kind of missionary somebody really is unless you've actually served with them, I feel like. Because
Hmm.
sometimes I would say to people, like girls from my, or sorry, elders from my mission, girls would come up to me and they'd kind of ask me, you know, so how was Elder so and so, you know, in Cambodia? And I'm like, I'll tell you if you really want to know. Like, it just, yeah. So, not that to say if you're not a great missionary, you're not going to be a good person or a good husband, but I would take that into consideration in dating, I guess. So anyway, he was a good missionary though. He came home and I thought we were for sure going to get married and we were both pretty young. I don't know, things just were kind of off. I felt like there had been some things that came up from the past that like my mom had told me about, and I'll just throw this one in there because I feel like all the ladies will have my back. But he had said something to my mom, and honestly, looking back at the photos, I think everybody can attest to this maybe at a time. Like you thought you were more overweight during that time. Like in high school, I thought I don't know, I could have lost some more weight. I was like a cheerleader and I was in a skirt all the time. And I was thinking like, I'm thicker than this other girl, whatever. But I like look back on photos and you're like, wow, I actually looked like really good, you know? It
Hmm.
just puts in perspective as you get older and have a baby and all the things. Um, but yeah, he had said something to my mom, like, Caitlin has gained some weight. I'm like really worried about her. Like, how can we help her like lose weight, basically? And my mom was just like, what? Like, I think she was actually really surprised that he was saying that. I don't even remember exactly what my mom said back to him. But I just wish, honestly, my mom would have told me that back then. Because I feel like if I would have known that, I would have been like, who is this guy thinking that he can ask my mom if we can help me out, like lose weight? Um, but anyway, she told me that later. And so like things would come up and I'm like wondering, I'm like, is this guy gonna have my back? Like, is he gonna be a nice guy at the end of the day? Like treat me the way that he should? And I just remember I don't know, like I just kept crying all the time. Like we would just get into fights, I would cry. And I remember thinking about getting married and I was crying and my mom was like, "Dude, if you really want to marry this guy, why are you crying?" And I was like, "Wow, you're right."
Let's like explain a little bit further. He was like kind of judgmental when he got home from his mission, and honestly, that's not like a super like uncommon thing. As a missionary, you get this idea in your mind of how everybody should live their life and that how everybody should read their scriptures for an hour or 2 hours every day. And newsflash, that's not how life works. But some are a little bit delusional about it when they
Well,
get home.
it is really hard though, like now that I've been on a mission and at that point I hadn't. Somebody that you are writing, like I'm in college living it up as a freshman in Cedar City, Utah, and I'm like, yo, joining Alpha Phi sorority life. And then the guy that I'm dating is out here on a mission progressing in his spiritual journey, right? And I'm like, probably not as much. But like you said, you get back to the real world and it's not really like personal scripture study all the time. Like your life doesn't revolve around Jesus Christ. Like it should, right? But kind of just things come up, right? And so that is a good point. Like I did kind of talk to him about certain things that had happened while he was gone. It wasn't anything crazy, to be honest, like looking back.
She drank a beer.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm like,
The worst.
yeah. So, I mean, maybe to some people though, at that time, they're like, wow, I would never do that, which is fine, you know, but, I just felt like exactly what you said, just really judged. And I was thinking in my mind, wow, if you were just preaching, you know, about Jesus Christ and kind of like following that example, if you really loved me, you would, I mean, you could say like, you know, I don't love that, right? But I'm not
Mhm.
going to like look at you differently. It's almost like I felt like this lens kind of shifted of how he looked at me, you know, and almost like I was damaged. And I do feel like there's been times in my life, I don't know, where in the church and things that people have said to me have made me feel like I'm a damaged person. And it was really hard for me because, you know, I've had an authoritative figure say, you know, well, someday you're going to have to tell your husband about, you know, these choices that you've made. And I was like, okay, you know,
Flash forward, she told me I didn't care.
And I did think that, I'm like, I am going to find somebody who really sees me for me and doesn't look at past things like I'm a damaged person. You look at it like their experiences. And, so that was a huge turnoff. And so when he was really judgmental about certain things, I was like, maybe this isn't the guy for me. And so
The funniest thing about it is that he's not even an active member anymore.
I mean, that's what I hear, but it is crazy to me how sometimes people can be so judgmental and then they end up not even really believing the things that they were so
judgmental about.
Yeah. And it is shocking a little bit just because that really did hurt me at the time, like really bad.
Yeah. It's something that you haven't forgot for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Back then it was an impressionable thing that happened.
Yeah, it definitely was. And I think we've all probably had judgmental moments in our life, but I would like to think that as I've gotten older, I've tried really, really hard to be more accepting and open to everyone, just whoever they are, whatever choices they feel is going to make them happy and is the best for their life, I'm going to respect, So anyway, I think that's why though, looking back, I remember telling you this when we were dating, that I was looking for somebody who would just love me for me, like unconditionally. And I honestly feel like that was a big deal to you too, though. I think you just wanted somebody who was supportive and that just loved you no matter what,
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody deserves that. And so looking back, it was fine. It was fine that it didn't work out, but there were some couple dating stories in between that I met before I met you from dating apps that were really funny though. Like there was a guy that I was dating and he was just he was pretty young and I was kind of like the cougar vibe a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up being like, he was saying he loves making out with me, but that's basically it. Like he was like, I don't know if it's going to go anywhere besides that. Like I'm here to have a good time, but I'm like, all right. I mean, this is fun, but I'm trying to get serious, And then there was another guy like right before, or was it when I met you? I was going to go out on a date with him.
Yeah,
I think.
he was the guy that I got pushed off a week for. Yeah.
So he basically came back and told me, because he lived kind of far away, and he told me.
No, he didn't. He lived in Provo.
No, it wasn't. It was like west, I think. Where? It was like 40 minutes away from me. I can't remember. I just remember that it was like west or north. It wasn't south. But anyway, it was like 45 minutes away. And he was just like, I don't know you. I don't know if you're worth it. Like, I don't know if you're worth the drive. And we hadn't even been on a date yet. And I'm like, dude, if you're already going to say that to me, like, how will you ever find out if I'm worth it? If you're not even willing to drive to see me, And I was just like, wow, this is never going to work. I was just like, dude, we're not going to go out. Like, if you can't even show up for me on the first date, like, we're done. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. But
we should have a segment though, like in the near future, where we ask people whack things that have been said to them on dating apps.
Okay. I'm super, super down for that. So.
I know that we'll get some interesting responses to that.
So we'll put out a plug right now that we definitely want to talk about whack dating stories because they're the best. So.
Yep. Yeah. Anyways, moving on to toddlers.
So I had posted on my story for submissions about crazy toddler stories because we're kind of in the thick of it right now.
Yeah.
Our toddler's 2, he turns 3 in July. So we're kind of, going through it. But I'll start with saying the first just kind of crazy story really quick. Josh had talked about our RV road trip that we had taken. And we were in Florida at this place called Gatorland. And Josh has always kind of had an obsession with gators, wouldn't you say? I mean, like maybe, I don't know if it was before you went to Florida on your mission or after.
Yeah, I started my mission in Orlando, Florida.
And so we decided to go to Gatorland. Noah loved it. It was great. Josh decides to go to the bathroom, and I'm just pushing Noah around in the stroller. And he was still taking a bottle at that time. And so he ends up throwing his bottle into the crocodile encounter.
Into the gator pit. Sorry, not crocodile. I guess they're all alligators. Throws into the gator pit. There's like 50 alligators in this thing.
They're all just clawing and biting at this bottle. And I kind of am in shock that Noah actually threw his bottle in there. So I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Josh is in the bathroom. Everybody's staring at me. Yeah. So right after Noah throws it into the gator pit, he's like, Mama, get it, get it. And I'm like, seriously, bro? Like, our toddler is very, what's the word? Just kind of bossy.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah, like he's just really forward, really, kind of bossy at times. And so I'm like, well, I'd like to get it. I'm not going to jump in with all those freaking gators. So I get the worker involved. He has to get these like little pliers almost, I don't even know, to get the bottle out. He had to get into the pit though. And oh my gosh, everyone's like staring and laughing. And anyway, he finally gets the bottle out of there.
Meanwhile, I'm on the toilet.
Yeah, Josh is just freaking oblivious, like probably taking a crap. So anyway, that was our one of the craziest toddler stories.
And then there's a couple other times where I'd be driving at night, and the way that the RV was situated, we had to put his, like, what would you call it? Like the pack and play.
Oh yeah.
Like in the hallway.
Yep.
And like block it so it didn't move around. But we'd be driving like down the highway in the middle of the night, like long distances, and all of a sudden I'd like see this bottle just hit the front of the dash. Like he would finish the bottle and then just chuck it randomly up at the very front. And a couple times it like spooked me, but then there was a couple other times where he managed to, once he realized he could get out of the pack and play, it made traveling at night a little bit more difficult, because he would just straight up get out and then go up into the passenger, because you were like in the back and like laying down in the bed. He would just come up and sit up next to me and be like, just chilling, like thinking that he's just going to be there, you know?
Yep. Yeah. And I'll say one more thing. I don't know if anyone can relate to this, because I feel like most parents that I've said this to, they're like, oh, I'm so grateful, like bless up that my kid was never like this. But Noah, once he figured out how to take off his diaper, would smear his poop all over his crib, all over the carpet, all over the walls. And we didn't even know what was going on, because at this time we didn't have a camera anymore.
No.
And so we were just putting him down for a nap. He took all his clothes off, poop everywhere. We walk in, looked like a horror scene of like poop, basically.
We threw it. He was sleeping in it. It was just like right when we moved in. He was in a pack and play still. We chucked it in the garbage. Like there was no saving it.
We were like, we're not going to clean this up. So once we figured out Noah could do that, we were like, maybe nap time's over.
Yeah, that was the death of nap times.
Well, because we tried everything. Like I would duct tape his diapers. He would still sometimes get it off. One of my friends told me to do the footy pajamas in the back, like where you would zip it up all the way to the back so they can't unzip
like,
it.
Put it on backwards.
Yep, still got it undone with the zipper on the back. I'm like, this kid is so determined to get his diaper off. Like he does not want this poop on him, whatever, I don't know. But anyway, that was probably one of the worst eras of our parenting journey. But yeah, so we got some few submissions that I wanted to share, because a lot of these I've read, but Josh hasn't heard. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to read a couple of them. And then if we can't get to all of them today, though, maybe we can do a few next episode or something. Okay, so this first one. I was getting ready while the kids were in the kitchen. I could hear laughing, but just thought they were playing. When I walked in the kitchen, my son was covered in peanut butter up to his elbows. With my daughter's encouragement, he had been grabbing handfuls of peanut butter and flinging it around the kitchen. The blinds, chairs, tables, walls, floor, all covered in peanut butter, along with my son. Cleaning it up was a complete nightmare.
Jeez.
So that's intense.
That's pretty bad.
Because like you think about how nasty, just it's really hard to clean up peanut butter. Like even if you get a ton on a spoon, to actually like put that in the sink and get it off the spoon is like,
yeah.
Imagine if it was all over your toddler. Oh my gosh, so funny. Okay, let's do this one. We were in St. George, which is in southern Utah, visiting the house of an oral surgeon. My husband's in dental school and wanted to meet professionally for about an hour. We went to this super nice house, and our baby blew out his diaper, the worst he's ever done. Poop everywhere, in their couch and the pillows. We were mortified. To make it worse, we forgot his diaper bag since we were just going to be gone for 30 minutes. We placed him in their bathtub to get him clean, and we were just so embarrassed the entire time.
Jeez, man. That's freaking wild.
Dude.
That's something that, like, that is absolutely something that would happen to us.
Well, no, you know what I was thinking? That when I was reading that pretty much did happen to us when we were visiting your grandma in Idaho.
Oh, and you
Remember?
started puking everywhere?
Noah puked all over her couch. Luckily, your grandma's had 11 kids, right?
A lot.
Not 11. Or no, it wasn't 9. 11. Okay, 9. I don't know. So she was super understanding, but we're like first-time parents, you know, thinking this is your grandma's couch that smells like, and it was just milk. So it's curdled milk all over her couch.
And then you did it again in the car seat multiple times.
Yeah.
As we were
Any
eating.
parent knows if your kid's ever thrown up in their car seat and you weren't able to get it into a bag or anything, the absolute worst, because your car literally smells like throw up.
Oh, and not only that, we were driving from Idaho to Seattle.
Yeah.
Like it was like a 12-hour drive. And that happened right at the very beginning.
Dude, so I totally resonate with that story, because I'm like, that it is so embarrassing. Like when you think about it, it's just crazy.
I wonder if they had any more professional meetings after that.
I know. They're like, can you actually never come over again? So someone said when my toddler decided to not just pee his pants fully at Kidstopia, but poo his pants too. That's like, Kidstopia is like a kid place here in Utah.
Lovely.
So love that. We haven't gotten into that yet though, because we haven't potty trained Noah yet. So that's going to be exciting. Okay, this one's kind of funny. My friend and I were having a play date with our kids at a church building. We were playing on the stage. Her toddler is running in and out of the curtains and getting into stuff, but we weren't too worried about it. He pulled one of the ropes, holding up a giant projector screen that was weighed down with an extremely heavy metal pole, and it came plummeting straight down toward us. I threw my arm out to catch it, keeping it from hitting us, and ended up with a nasty bruise. I love that kid though, so I forgive him. And then she attached a picture of the bruise.
And it's pretty nasty.
It's pretty bad. And I was like, dude, that's not even your kid. And she saved him.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty nice.
My turn to read one. So this is a toddler story. It says, we went to my brother-in-law's wedding 3 hours away in the middle of nowhere. It was at this old house with a beautiful backyard that had a small creek running through the venue. The creek was mostly thick mud water with a small lily pads and clovers over it. Well, right after the ceremony and right before family pictures, our little boy decided to run right into the muddy water and jump in. He was wearing a white shirt and dress pants. The mud went up to his shoulders. We had no change of clothes, and it was right before pictures. So he wore just a diaper the rest of the wedding. The drive home was great.
Oh my gosh. Dude.
Toddlers and photos don't mix.
Dude, seriously. Like wedding photos, I was just thinking like, it just like kind of ruins it, because, you know.
I feel like that's a tale as old as time. Like toddlers just like getting into stuff, or like getting crap all over themselves, or getting muddy right before pictures.
Hasn't it shocked you? Like, I know people say this all the time, and there's memes all over the internet of toddlers in like 0.5 seconds, like what they're able to do.
Oh, dude, we've seen our own son do it.
Yeah, and you're like, how did I miss that?
Dude, it's because they're determined.
Oh my gosh. It's honestly crazy. Okay, this is the last one. Okay, so a few weeks ago, the stomach flu wreaked havoc in our house. At first, I thought maybe my son had just eaten something bad because he threw up once and then was fine for a few hours. He said he felt fine, so he made our way to my parents' house. And no joke, like 5 minutes before we pulled my parents' driveway, projectile vomited all over him, the car seat, and the back of the passenger seat. I ended up just throwing his car seat away because there was a throw-in place and she didn't even want to clean it. She's like, I get him all cleaned up. He takes a nap and all is well, or so I thought. I hear him book it to the bathroom, and he made it in time to throw up in the toilet. But then he says, oh my goodness. With the force of him throwing up, it starts coming out of both ends. But the thing is, he hasn't had enough time to turn and sit on the toilet. So you guessed it, he has now pooped all over the floor. It was the runs, and I mean all over the floor. Finally sat on the toilet and proceeded to throw up on the floor. I was like, how is this happening right now? It all just happened so fast. No one knew what to do. That is my horror story, and I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. Dude, that was the best one. Oh my gosh. Double dragon for a toddler?
Dude, that's pretty gnarly.
That's insane.
Although I can think of a couple people I think it'd be funny if it happens too.
Oh my gosh, that's savage, Bill. I wouldn't wish that upon anyone, bro. That's insane.
Dude, bless up to all parents out there because we know you can relate.
Yep.
Yep.
So yeah, good luck to toddler parents. I'm sure this, topic will come up again, and we have more stories that we can share, but I think we're out of time. So anyway, love that. Hope that can be your comic relief for the week. So
Welcome to the zoo, and we'll see you next week.
okay, thanks. Bye.